Hey everybody, here's an interesting game from 1944 between Jones and Tennessee. Jones played white, Tennessee played black, and the game goes like this. White starts out by playing to d4. Black plays knight to f6. White also then plays to c4. Black plays g6. White brings out the knight to c3. And now black plays d5, making this a Grunfeld. White then captures the pawn. Black recaptures. And now white kicks at the knight with e4. Black captures the knight on c3. White recaptures with the c-pawn, and now white is pretty much control of the center squares. Black now plays c5, which looks strange because the pawn isn't defended and white could take the pawn if he wanted to, but if he does, here's what would happen. He would take the pawn, then black would swoop down, take white's queen, and white would have to recapture with the king, so white would not be able to castle, plus he would have doubled c-pawns. So obviously that's not the way to go. So if we go back to the original position, white does not take the pawn on c5 and instead develops his king's bishop to c4. Black now flanks his bishop on g7. White now develops his king's knight to e2 instead of f3 so that black's bishop won't come down and pin it. Black plays knight to c6. And white brings out his other bishop to e3. And now black decides to go ahead and just take off that pawn on d4. White recaptures on d4. And now black decides to bring out his queen to a5 and give check. Black now retreats his bishop to d2 and blocks the check and also attacks the queen. And the queen moves to a3. And now, here's an interesting little move that white makes. He makes the move rook to b1. And what black does is black just goes ahead and castles. And now white thinks he's got a great move. He plays the pawn to d5, which attacks the knight, and the knight has to move. And the knight moves to e5. But now, white plays what he considers the winning move. He plays bishop to b4. And that move traps the queen. In other words, all of the squares that the queen can move to right now, the queen will be taken. So it looks as though the game is over. But it's not. And if you'd like to pause the video at this point and just take a look and see what black could possibly do to save the queen, go ahead and I'll wait. Okay. Did you see what it is? Well, it's a strange move. It's a very surprising move. Black plays queen to f3. And I know you're saying, wait a minute, white can take the queen there. And of course that's exactly what white does. He takes the queen with the g-pawn. He probably should have looked a little deeper into the situation though, because black then plays knight takes f3 check. Not only does this check the king, but it also keeps the king from escaping to d2. In fact, the king only has one legal move, and that's to f1. And it's at that point, of course, black lowers the boom with bishop to h3, checkmate. I've always thought this was a very surprising game because it looked like black was going to lose the game, and then all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, black wins the game. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time,